the History Channel, Wikipedia, museum.dea.gov is where I get a lot of my research. A lot of these definitions I'm telling you. So basically, what I was looking up, it basically started in Central Asia, started in Asia around 500 BC. I've always learned BC is before Christ. And it was most likely not for recreational, possibly for herbal use, they say. Every site basically was saying it all started again in Asia. Started in Central Asia. Oldest known written record was from the Chinese Emperor Shen Nung, 2727 BC. Okay, and the cultivation in America was basically colonists using it for hemp, for textiles and ropes. So it went from Central Asia, introduced to Africa, to Europe, to the Americas. Mostly at first for hemp fiber. They were using it for clothing, paper, sails, rope seeds, and food. I'm not gonna lie, one of the most interesting things that I found pretty funny, that the Declaration of Independence is written on Dutch hemp paper, 1776. I was like, that was not the only thing they was doing when they was writing that. But I digress. Anyway, so the early plant, they say had a low THC. Okay, so they said the earliest version of the plant had a low version of THC. Marijuana is basically more powerful today than it was 30 years ago. THC was less than 1%. The 1970s, it went to more than 6%. 2002, more than 8.5%. And then 2008, it was just like off the rockets. And not only that, also because of during the 1990s, especially crossbreeding, also resulted in producing a higher THC called skunk. And I know a lot of us have smoked that skunk, because I know I have. And, it was at first, of course, again, used for medicinal purposes. All right. But the ancient cultures, they said, knew about the psychoactive properties. They cultivated some varieties to produce higher levels of THC for use in religious ceremonies or healing practice. Okay, they also found burned cannabis seeds found in graves of shamans in China and Siberia as early as 500 BC. We already know shamans are basically AKA witchcraft workers. They are mediums to the spirit world. Okay, they always want to say spirit guide, all that extra stuff. Shamans are just another versions of voodoo, obia, witchcraft workers, sanguma, psychics, whatever else you want to call it. If it's not of God, it's of the kingdom of darkness, it's of Satan. So that's who shamans are. So it's as early as that. Well, there was some, they call it bhang eaters in India. They use it as an edible preparation used in their food and drink by the Hindus. Okay. In 1200 BC, it was included in the Hindu sacred texts as the science of charms, aka sacred grass, aka Atharva Veda. Okay. And then in 550 BC, a Persian prophet, Zoroaster, writes that those science of charms was included in their sacred texts with their 10,000 medicinal plants, hemp being at the top. Okay. The ancient Greek historian named Herodotus described the Scythians. It's spelled Scythians. Every time I see that word, it just reminds me of snakes. It just reminds me of vipers. It just reminds me of venoms. I don't know why, but that's what it reminds me of. That's what I just keep seeing. But it was a large group of Iranian nomads in Central Asia that they inhaled the smoke from smoldering cannabis seeds. So that was their ritual pleasure also that they used to do to get high. Okay, it was a part of their ritual. In India, it was called hashish. It was a purified form of cannabis smoked with pipe. It was used in the Middle East and parts of Asia. The popularity, it rose, it spread into Islam. So they're saying basically since the Quran forbid the use of alcohol and some other intoxicating substances, but not specifically cannabis, they was just like, all right, we could still deal with this because they ain't say that necessarily. 1900 is when it says it was introduced into the States for recreations. All right, again, ancient Greeks and Romans to Islamic Empire, North Africa. The Spaniards around 1544, the Western Hemisphere, Spaniards imported it to Chile for fiber. They said sativa grows in the wild and the tropical and humid parts of the world. And they also use the seeds for animals, animal feeds, and the oil as a vehicle for paint. And hashish was the one that was more of a potent form, mostly in the Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, Afghanistan. But again, largely used in religious settings. Then it just went through a whole, like, cannabis, weed, marijuana was just going through a whole back and forth for centuries. Like around the 20th century, it started going through restrictions. The 20th century, 21st century, they were starting to decriminalize it and or legalize it. In the Hindu culture, ancient India is consumed by their lowercase g god Shiva, a part of their practice and culture. And there's also residues found on two altars, Tel Arad, dated to the kingdom of Judah, the 8th century BC. And Tel Arad was a strong Canaanite city. Okay, and you could read about this in Numbers 21 verse 1 and Joshua 15 verse 21. And it was shut down by King Hezekiah, Leviticus 10 verses 8 to 11, because it was opposed against their priestly services. Okay, so you can even read about that this was something that they would use even in when it came to the Bible. It's in there, dated in the Bible. It had to be shut down because this was used again for religious practices, ceremonies, because this was their worship. This was their incense that they were burning to their lowercase g gods, their deities, Satan, the devil. This is what they use, because when you smoke weed, we're not going to sit here and lie and act like it don't open you to another world. Yes, it calms your nerves. Yes, it does this. Yes, it does that. But it's all a false sense of calm, because you have to continually keep using it in order to keep that feeling. Do you understand? Because you're not receiving healing from God. You're receiving healing from it. And I already know God gives us the plants and the herbs to do the healing and stuff like that, but he never said smoke it. Because remember, before they were using it for paper, for textile, for oil paint. That's what it was normal. That's what it was being used for. Anyone that was smoking it, they were using it to give dedication and worship to their lowercase g God, because of the effects that it has, because of the world that it opens your eyes and your mind and your spirit to. It's a false breath that you're taking in. It's not the ruach of God that you're breathing in. Okay? 1271, Marco Polo first report of being used as a psychoactive drug. 1378, attempt to make illegal in Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey. 1484, Pope issues a papal ban on medicinal. This one was interesting. 1563, Queen Elizabeth I orders landowners with 60 acres and more to grow or face a £5 fine. Wanted them to grow the weed. 1564, King Philip of Spain orders it to be grown throughout Empire of Argentina to Oregon. I didn't look that part up because I was like, Oregon here in the States, or is there an Oregon over there? Because I know names be shared around the world. So I was just like, oh, not to say that's too far-fetched, because France was all the way in Louisiana. So, you know. It says 1790s, George Washington cultivates hemp. Evidence he may have smoked it. I don't doubt it, because state of Washington, they as high as it could get. 1798, Napoleon prohibits the use in Egypt, only to find that his own soldiers were using it and bringing it back to France. 1856, British tax the ganja trade in India. And then the early 1970s, that's when it had an impact on Rastas, affecting their spiritual practice. Because, they also worship it they smoke it for spiritual reasons, for worship. It's a holy thing to them. Okay? And then it goes the 70s and 90s. So one thing I noticed about this plant, it goes through phases of being decriminalized, criminalized, banned, unbanned, medicinal use, non-medicinal use. Like, they were just playing around with this plant to the point, this plant is on a whole nother level. We already know, I feel like it's been tainted with far more than what it was originally. And even if we were still back in its original state, it's still an issue. Because again, if shamans were being buried with it, if even it's come back to that, it was destroyed with a strong Canaanite city, okay, around the kingdom of Judah. If it was destroyed with it then, and according to the Bible, they were not to take on, the children of Israel were not to take on any practices, any worshiping, any custom of any of those people, Canaanites, anybody that was not of them, they were not to take on those customs. And there was a reason. I'm sharing this because it took me a long time. Again, I started around 2000, 2001 smoking. I ain't stopped since till 2023, early 2023. For me to be strongly convicted to the point, because it did get to a point where it's just like, now I have enough understanding. I'm no longer a baby in Christianity. I'm no longer a baby in this walk, and the Lord has to take me to another level. And in order to take you to another level, can nothing be disrupting. You understand? You don't need no stumbling blocks, even to the point where I was telling you, remember, we can't defile our temple. Okay, 1 Corinthians 3:17, 1 Corinthians 6:19. Our body is a temple. There's no false doctrine that should be placed in us. We cannot defile our body. Okay? We have to remain holy. We have to be separate from among the world. We have to be separate from them and come up from out of them. Come up from under them, people. You understand? Like, during this walk, when you're really following Christ, there are things you have to put down that are of the world. You're smoking, you're opening up a realm. You're opening up your spirit and your soul and your mind to heavenly things. So at that point, you're opening the door and giving access to unclean spirits to come and act as angel of light. Meaning they're there to deceive you. If all these people in that time, up till this time, who still use it for spiritual reasons, it's because it does open up the door to the spiritual realm. It opens up the door to the unseen. And there are many things that can come through that will have your full attention. And they will disguise themselves as angels of light to trick you, to deceive you, to come steal, kill, and destroy, because that's what Satan wants to do. So I'm telling you from, a place of somebody that used to, I was in love with it. I was in love with it. When I tell you I was in love with the smoking, I was in love with the smoking. My retirement dream, again, was to retire on the island, chilling on a beach somewhere with an L in one hand and a drink in another. You understand? Like, I was on you couldn't tell me nothing. I was for sure like, the Lord gives us this because this is our gift to us. He gives us this gift to us to enjoy, when in all actuality, salvation is a gift. His salvation is a gift. His saving us is a gift. His dying on the cross for us is a gift, okay? Him even giving us this Bible, his word, is a gift. His covenant, his promise is a gift. His covering is a gift, okay? The covenant under the new blood of Jesus Christ, the blood that speaks better things than that of Abel, is a gift. That every morning that I wake up and I breathe and I step foot and I make it back home clean, clear, no problems, me and my kids, that's a gift. The me sleeping at home, having good food, being able to make my little iced tea my sweet tea, getting some treats here and there when I want. That's a gift. Having a job, that's a gift. My health, that's a gift. You understand? All of that is a gift. Being used for textile and all that, it was like, okay. But at that point, when it became done to being ingested, because even it being ingested, because I told you, those people, the bang from, I don't know, the bahang, the Indian, they used to, for the Hindus, they prepared it as edibles in their food and their drink. Okay? They prepared it as edibles in their food and their drink, so they were still ingesting it for purposes of their ritualistic reasons to communicate with their God, because like I said, they attribute it to one of their lowercase g gods. Okay, Shiva is a part of their practice and culture. All right, so I'm not coming from a standpoint of never ever having smoked it and being like, oh, drugs are no good for you. No, like, it seriously is not good for our spirit. It's not good for our soul. It's a false breath. It's a false wind. It's not the wind of God. It's not the breath of God. It's not a ruach, okay? The angels of the Lord cannot take that smoke as incense, because smoking weed is also incense. Burning that becomes incense as well. Because I looked at it as incense too. I was like, incense, not, excuse my accent, but I looked at it like, this is my rose garden. When I smoke this, everything smells good around me. I love the smell. I used to love the smell of it. I love the smell of it. Everything smelled good around me. But the angel of the Lord cannot take that as prayers to the holy, almighty, living, true living God. They can't take that as prayers to him. Those type of smells, that type of smoke is not coming from the saints. That type of smoke is for the unclean spirits, because it's unclean. It's unclean. It's unclean. We're not going to sit here in front like it's clean. You already know you're not going to smoke something like that and have yourself smelling like that to go to a job. You're not going to do that. If you smoking it, you're going to make sure, all right, you smoke whatever. You don't want the smell to really stick on you, especially if you're going somewhere like, like, let's say corporate wise, a ball, a party, or whatever the case is. A lot of times you don't want to go smelling like that. You don't want all your clothes smelling like that, unless you just unclean already as a person. But whatever the case is, normally you don't want to go around smelling like that. Like, you try to get that off of you. But our body is the temple of the living God. That has no place in us. That false doctrine, that false breath, that false wind has no place in us. We are to remain holy for him. We are not to allow any access for Satan and his agents, for Satan's angels. We don't want to give them no type of access, because slowly and surely they'll try to make it seem like it's all good. They got you. They're showing you everything. They're showing you the world. But it's nothing but a trap, because Satan only comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So it's a trap. Comes looking like a pretty little thing, and then reveals to you later on, when you're damn near in the pit, that you're only good for dead. You're good as dead. That's the only thing they want you as dead. Because like I always say, Satan is miserable. He doesn't want to burn by himself, so he wants to drag as many people as he can with him. All right? Jesus came to give us life. He is the light, the way, and the truth. Okay? He is the way and the truth. He is the light, way, and the truth. He is the life, way, and the truth. You may think that it's hard. You may think that it's impossible. But all things are possible through Jesus Christ. All things are possible through Yeshua, through Yahweh, through Yahuwah. It is possible with God. I didn't honestly ever think that I could stop smoking. Like, I didn't see the point. I didn't think I could. Like, I was already imagining, again, my latter years with it. And now, like, I don't have no want for it. I don't have no need for it. You know, number one, I don't have no need for it. But number two, I don't have no need for it. But most importantly, number one, I don't have no want for it. Like, I don't care. I could care less. It is what it is. There's so many ways to enjoy life without having that in your life. There's also different ways to heal your body. If you're looking for it as healing, by his stripes we are healed, but you have to believe that, and also you have to put the action to it, because there are many reasons why people are not healed, physically, mentally, emotionally. You got to look at what you're doing, be aware of your environment, be aware of what you're doing, what you're watching, what you're reading, okay, what you're taking in, because it's not only the weed smoke, it's the music that you're listening to, the TV that you're watching, the food that you're eating, the drinks that you're drinking. Like, all of these things you got to take into account and be aware of, okay? But I just wanted to share this just to help somebody out there, because again, I didn't see anything wrong with it. The Lord had to convict me. And I always say the Lord is extremely gracious. We already know this, but he gave me well over a decade and let me rock. He let me rock for well over a decade. And he protected me those 4 crucial times when I had no business doing it. No way. He protected me. You would have thought after the first time my stuff got laced, I would have learned. Nope. Second time, nope. Third time, nope. Fourth time, still a no. I went on to do bigger and greater else. Like, I was just wilding out here. I was just like, I just need to be more careful. You would have thought after that. But he still was gracious enough to, you know, let me go through all of that and still keep me and never forsake me. So I'm just saying this because we do have to understand that we're new in Jesus Christ. We're a new creation, and the only breath that we need is his breath. That's the one that gave us life initially. You understand? The only smoke, the only incense that we want to burn is the incense that the angels can catch in their hands and bring up to our God, is the prayers. That's our incense. That's our smoke. Our prayers, our breath, which is spoken word, our prayers and our worship, which is animation, like the definitions I gave earlier. All right, our seat of emotions, the seat of emotion, our worship, our gratefulness, our thanksgiving. Okay, that's what we want to go up as praise to the Father. We don't need that stuff to assist us in praying to him. We don't need it. We don't. All right, just go to the Father, lay it at his feet, and he will heal you. He will remove that want from you. You know, put your trust in him. But that's just something I wanted to share. Hopefully you guys got some of it. Again, you know, the definitions I got was from the Concordance, from the Blue Letter Bible, also from Merriam-Webster. The information on the Cannabis, Britannica, History Channel, Wikipedia, museum.dea.gov. But I just encourage all of you guys to read your Bible, read your word, and just have a blessed day. Bye. You can set us free.